pediatric and gluten-free options? Or is it an exceptionally happy...
Right, okay. Well, I've got a few hours of driving today, so I thought I'd just do a very quick video, pass a little bit of the time on this fairly long drive. I've been working out in a reasonably remote area, and I took the GoPro with me, so I thought what I'd do is I took the other camera with me as well. What I thought I'd do was I'd get some footage of some rocks, because you often see shapes in rocks, lizards and dogs' heads and things. Some people even paint eyes on them, and a mouth. But I was watching more of Scott Henderson's absolute bloody rubbish the other day. He was talking to the nutty professor, who was lapping it up, hook, line and sinker. Oh, more Scott, feed me more of this drivel, please. And he really was getting quite excited, the nutty professor. But Scott's saying stuff like, oh, here's a Bentley, here's a bicycle chain, and I was just falling about laughing. And even the nutty professor, it even occurred to the nutty professor that Bentley is an expensive car to bury on the film set. And he said, oh, that's one of the most expensive cars on the face of the planet. And Scott Henderson said, oh, it's probably Elvis Presley's, they probably gave it away, Just go auto bullshit mode. As if someone would bury a Bentley on a film set. Oh dear. As if the Apollo landings would be filmed in a landfill. Anyway, I was going to get some footage of some rocks so that you can see these, I don't know what it's called now, but when you see shapes in things, your brain's programmed to try and identify things. You can see faces in clouds and that sort of stuff. There's a word for it, I can't remember what it is now. I was going to get some footage of some rocks, and I was going to say, I'm going to show, chicken carcass obviously, and a fish skeleton, oil drum. Absolute bloody rubbish, of course, I don't know, I just can't understand, I can't grasp why people think there's anything to any of this drivel that's put forward by people like Scott Henderson, Marcus Allen. I really cannot understand. I was watching Marcus Allen the other day, and I actually did a video and I commented on it, and I said, he mentioned those Italian brothers, the space hackers. I'm not going to try and pronounce their name either. But he said, they'd recorded something like 9 lost cosmonauts before Gagarin successfully flew. And, well, me. I had a quick, and I did a video, and I said, there may be some truth to this. I'd seen the documentary Space Hackers, and I recorded a little bit about that, but I couldn't remember the details. Of course, the devil is in the detail. I flicked through it the other day and had another look at it. I've got the version with the English subtitles. That's not on YouTube, unfortunately. But the recordings that they had, especially the one with the female cosmonaut, a lot of people have said, that's fake, now I don't speak Russian. The timbre of the voice and everything else sounded to me like it could very well be genuine. But I think that was from 1963, which is after Gagarin, of course. So that may have been a failed mission that was hushed up after Gagarin. That's, I think, is a possibility. The Russian space program was very secretive. I don't think it's beyond the realms of possibility. They lost a couple of cosmonauts before, during their early crewed missions, and just hushed it up. But it would appear that there certainly weren't 9 lost before Gagarin. I don't know why I would even consider giving anything Marcus Allen says any credibility whatsoever. I must have swallowed some Marcus Allen gullibility capsules, bullshit capsules. Oh, another question that comes up is bloody cruise control won't say. Hang on a second. It's got to give the driving part of this process priority. What was I saying? Oh, with the lunar module, I think it was. They say, they couldn't possibly have carried the lunar module in the descent stage of the lunar module, because that's where the helium tank is. If you look at the cutaway drawings, there's a helium tank in there, and that's a cutaway drawing of the Apollo 11, 12, 13 lunar modules. If you look at the cutaway drawing for the Apollo 15, 16 and 17 lunar modules, these were modified, these were extended lunar modules. They moved the helium tanks into quadrant 3, so the quadrant 1 can be used as a payload bay for the lunar rover vehicle and other bits and bobs. Also they had to carry extra fuel. There was quite a few modifications done to the extended lunar module, so that just kicks that into touch. Birdie Slack is a channel that I came across the other day, and Birdie Slack has got a video up called Moon Hoax Theory Killed by Rabbit, I think it's called. I'll leave a link to it below. It's a very good video. And this is showing the Chinese Chang'e 3 lander, not the current Chang'e 4. The Chang'e 4 is on the dark side of the moon. Chang'e 3 landed on the bright side of the moon, and the actual lander, the descent stage, looks a lot like the descent stage of the Apollo lunar modules. It's covered in sort of gold foil, and as Bertie points out, and I think he does a pretty good job of it actually, there are so many similarities between that and the Apollo landing, the Apollo lunar module on the lunar surface, with the gold foil around the outside. It's a very similar sort of vehicle. It's got the the struts, the legs on it, and I think the Chinese probably copied that because it works well. They copied the landing profile as well, with the orbit, the 60-mile elliptical orbit, and then coming into land. It was a direct copy of the Apollo landing profile. And if you see Chang'e 3 on the lunar surface, you can see that it's got gold foil around it, and on the shadow side of it, you can see the underside of the crinkles in the foil are illuminated by the light reflecting off the lunar surface, just as they are with the lunar module. With that famous picture that Marcus Allen likes to like. It's one of his favourite pictures. He says, "Oh, it's Buzz Aldrin. He's descending the lunar module ladder, but he's in shadow. How is he so beautifully illuminated?" It's because the sunlight's reflecting off the lunar surface. The shadow of the lunar module is not huge. The suit is designed to reflect 90% of the light that hits it as part of the thermal protection for it. And if you look at the gold crinkles on the Apollo lunar module descent stage, you can see that the bottom, the underside of the crinkles is illuminated because the light's coming up from the surface. I mentioned that in a video before. But on this Birdie Slack video, you can see the underside of the crinkles is illuminated. There's not much in the way of a blast crater underneath it. There's tracks left by the little rover, the Rabbit rover. People say you can't make footprints on the moon, you can't make tracks on the moon. And I think he's right. His video does kill that, and that theory is stone dead, certainly with regard to the way the imagery goes. As far as the technical aspects of it go, there's nothing wrong with the technical aspects of it. There's no problem with getting television signals back from the moon. All these people that are saying it's impossible are people that have absolutely no understanding of radio engineering. They're not technical people. I was looking, someone left a comment saying, "Oh, check this video out from Mr. Thrive and Survive." Mr. Thrive and Survive is telling us how it's impossible to get television pictures from the moon. He's saying, look at the lunar module power supply. Look at the. Then he goes to the ABC television station in America and says, "Look at this 34 kilowatt transmitter, and it's only got a 100-kilometer coverage area." And he's absolutely got no grasp of the technicalities of broadcasting and sending television pictures via microwave link, and how the power levels and radiation patterns would differ. No idea about antenna gain. Most television pictures of the moon were received at Parkes Radio Telescope or Honeysuckle Creek, and Parkes had something like 64 dB of gain. This sort of thing is not going to mean anything to any of these people. Televisions do not have 64 dB of gain. they've got they're completely clueless. You know, when you get people like Scott Henderson saying, well, you can't get high definition, you wouldn't be able to get high definition images from the moon. Not video, images is what he said, because the inverse square law would prohibit it. Well, how do you explain the high definition images from Chang'e 3, Mr. Henderson?
Okay, this is just a very quick cut into the driving video. I'll return to the driving and rambling in a minute or two. But this is an image from the moon. This is Chang'e 3. And as you can see, nothing wrong with the definition of that image. Remember, Scott Henderson said you can't get high definition images from the moon because the inverse square law prohibits it. Now, I can't be bothered to find the clip where Scott Henderson was actually said that, but it was on a Ben Emlyn-Jones thing, the moon detectives. Oh dear. Absolute rubbish, of course, as I was just saying. You know, Scott Henderson is technically clueless. Now, this is from a video. Now, I'd recommend anyone watch this video because it's really it's called "Moon Hoax Theory Dead, Killed by Rabbit," and it's pretty much dead on. This is by Bertie Slack, and I'll leave a link to this video below. But as you can see, that's an image from the moon. There's a couple of things we can tell from this image. The definition's pretty good. The inverse square law doesn't seem to be prohibiting it, does it? Tracks in the lunar surface. Also pointed out by Bertie. Apparently a lot of conspiracy theorists say you can't leave tracks on the moon. Tracks on the moon, unless this is faked, of course, unless the Chinese are faking it as well. They're all faking idiots. I think it's actually the people that are claiming that it's all fake are the faking idiots, to be perfectly honest. Let's just move this along just a tad. Where are we going with that? Yeah, okay, I think that's probably a better one there. Let's go to there. Now, this is the Chang'e 3 lander, the descent stage. It does look a little bit like a lunar module descent stage, and that's because the design of it, of the lunar module, the American lunar module, was pretty good. So the Chinese took some design cues from that, I would say. Interesting, as pointed out also by Bertie, or Mr. Slack, is this is the now remember, one of Marcus Allen's favourite pictures is Buzz Aldrin descending down the ladder on the shadow side of the lunar module, and he says it's too well lit to be real. Now look at the this is Chinese Chang'e 3. So this is the dark side of the probe. There's the shadow there, and as you can see, all the foil is illuminated from the light coming off the lunar surface, just as it was with the lunar module. So it would have been illuminating the underside of the foil. It would have also been illuminating Buzz Aldrin rather well, because Buzz Aldrin was wearing a spacesuit that was designed to reflect about 90% of the light hitting it as part of the thermal protection. I might have mentioned that. Sorry if I repeated. Sorry if I'm repeating myself. And the other thing to consider as well is, you know, when you get people like Marcus Allen, Ben Emlyn-Jones, Scott Henderson, all chuckling and laughing, oh, not possible to get pictures from the moon. These people are technically ignorant. They are absolutely clueless with regard to technical aspects of this stuff. And something that's glaringly obvious is that if there was a problem with the technicalities of it, don't you think every radio engineer on the face of the earth, regardless of what country they're from, and especially if they're from countries that are not allied with America, if they like to poke America with a stick, these radio engineers would be jumping up and down saying this is absolute rubbish, you know, this can't be done, this is nonsense, and I'll just show you a little bit of math here to show you that it's absolute rubbish. That has never happened, because because it's not rubbish, because anyone that knows anything about radio engineering would know how it works and know that it obviously can work. It's only the technically ignorant buffoons that are jumping up and down saying, you know, that it can't be done, you can't get television pictures from the moon. I mean, Mr. Thrive and Survive, looking at analogue broadcasting on Earth, I might have mentioned that as well. Thrive and Survive, Marcus Allen, Ben Emlyn-Jones, Scott Henderson. I can't remember if any of the other guys on Ben's panel on the Apollo detectives were also complaining about the technical aspects of it, but, you know, that they are technically inept. They are technically ignorant people. They haven't got a clue. It's a case of the blind leading the blind. You know, people that don't understand this stuff will go, oh yeah, you've got a point there. Look, only 4 kilowatts available on the lunar module. You need 34 kilowatts to transmit a television picture. Absolute drivel, rubbish, nonsense. So there you go. Just a point. I just thought I'd show you that image, a couple of images from this particular video, and I think it's an excellent video. And I thought I'd point out, make a point that I didn't make on the video while I was driving along, and that is that, you know, why are the radio engineers from all around the world not complaining, saying that it's rubbish and it can't be done? And it's because it can be done. The only people that are saying that it can't be done are people that don't understand it, that are technically clueless. Okay, well, I think that's enough. Let's get back to the driving.
I'm showing the Rabbit Rover. They're very good quality pictures, very good quality images. Scott Henderson is not a technical guy. He's clueless when it comes to the technical aspects of this stuff. So is Marcus Allen. So is Ben Emlyn-Jones. So are all of these bloody clowns that say, you know, you can't get. Oh, there's not enough power on the lunar module to get television pictures of the Earth. They are clueless. They've got no idea about radio engineering. About path loss, antenna gain, you know, transmit gain, receive gain. Clueless. And you know, a lot of the other people, of course, that aren't technical, you know, especially if they're sort of prone to believing conspiracy theories, are going, oh yeah, look, oh yeah, that's 4,000 watts, 4 kilowatts available on the lunar module. The television station, 34 kilowatts. Something a lot more than that. Or used to be before digital broadcasting came in. Some of the analog stuff. I mean, the BBC, the effective radiating power from Crystal Palace, I think, was a million watts per channel, 1 megawatt per channel. Completely different kettle of fish. Okay, so we've done the lunar module with the helium tanks. That's a favourite with the helium tanks. Tracks on the moon. Bertie Slack's video link below. Illumination of creakles on the underside. Technical aspects of it. Forget anything these guys have to say about it. They really are clueless. It's the blind leading the blind. What else was there? Was there anything else? Marcus Allen and the Cordelia brothers. The brothers that I can't pronounce either. Yes, there was 9 cosmonauts before Gagarin. I might actually show a bit of that in another video, that Utica Cordelia brothers space hackers, and pass a couple of comments on that. Did I mention it in this video? Because I've done a couple of these, you know, the bloody camera fell off the windscreen. I can't remember. I'll mention it again. I'll tell you what. What I'll do is I'll say, if you got to this point, as always, thanks for watching. I'll catch you again. Now, I'm going to add the bit about the Cordelia brothers and Marcus Allen. And when I play this back, if I've said it earlier in the video, I'll just chop the end off from here. Okay. So I was watching Marcus Allen, and he was saying that there were 9 cosmonauts before Gagarin. Very little research showed that that's not the case. And the Utica Cordelia brothers, which is who he quotes as the people that track these missions, they track 1 female cosmonaut, and I get the impression that is real. People say that it isn't, but I get a feeling it's real. Who's not in very good shape, and I think that was from 1963, which is of course after Gagarin. So that's not a lost cosmonaut before Gagarin. And the other one sending SOS. Yeah, well, would you send SOS in Russian? Is the Russian SOS in Russian the same as it is? I think CW Morse code is global, isn't it? Regardless of what country you come from. But yeah, I don't quite know how it works with Russian. But anyway, they were picking up SOS, and I think that was after Gagarin as well. But anyway, I should know better than to give any credibility to anything Marcus Allen says. Everything he says is rubbish. You know, radio hams only operate on long wave and equipment to listen to microwaves. You know, not enough power on the lunar module to get the television signals to the moon, to the Earth. And 9 cosmonauts before Gagarin. It's all absolute rubbish. The image of Buzz Aldrin being illuminated by a spotlight, by stage lighting. Ridiculous, bloody nonsense. Oh, the other thing Marcus Allen talks about is radiation. I saw him, it was an old clip of him being interviewed by Jeremy Clarkson, and he said, "Oh yeah, well why didn't they loan their radiation suits to the people at Chernobyl to help clean the nuclear plant up?" I mean, what a ridiculous statement! What a ridiculous statement! And then he says, "Well, they didn't have radiation suits. You know, why not?" Well, the reason they didn't have radiation suits was they didn't need them. You know, because you can't compare the radiation levels at Chernobyl with millions of times higher. Just a little bit of googling shows that the sort of radiation they were dealing with at Chernobyl was sort of gamma and beta radiation from cesium and iodine, and of course, well, you get gamma radiation in space. It's millions of times weaker. You know, so you don't need that sort of protection. The sort of protection that the Apollo astronauts had was perfectly adequate for what they were doing. You know, I mean, obviously if you'd set them in a command module, and then you set that command module in Chernobyl in 1986, they probably would have had a problem. But out in space, where the levels of radiation are millions of times weaker, you don't need all that, protection. So yeah, it's just everything. Just, you know, everything Marcus Allen says is absolute rubbish. Absolute rubbish. Just do yourself a favour. Put a line through anything. Put a line through Marcus Allen. He's a waste of time. Absolute waste of time. Same with Scott Henderson. Same with Ben Emlyn-Jones. I mean, really, you know, 9/11 energy weapons. No. You know, fake lunar landing. And then there's a super secret space program. You know, we couldn't have landed 2 men on the moon in a tin can in 1969, but we've got interstellar spacecraft with bases on Mars. It's just beyond ridiculous nonsense. Absolute rubbish. Unfortunately, there's no one on the internet worth listening to. No one. Not one. I mean, Linda Moulton Howe and Kerry Cassidy spruiking all this whistleblowing rubbish. I say whistleblowers aren't whistleblowers, they're just fantasists. Or they might just be people having a bit of fun with Linda Moulton Howe and Kerry Cassidy, just winding them up. But it's very obvious rubbish. You know, Dolan with his crash retrievals, absolute rubbish. Just let me go past this guy. Someone on holiday in their little caravan doing about 70 kilometres an hour in a 110 zone, extremely dangerous, especially as this road is not very wide. Maybe he just didn't see the speed limit sign. It does happen, especially if they're tourists, they're out of state. So, oh look at that, oh look at that, look at that, oh yeah, look at that. They're not looking at the bloody road, they're looking at the road sign. 110, it can sort of go up a bit and then go down a bit. Anyway, I'm sort of going off on a tangent here. I think I've said all I needed to say. Greer, of course, waste of time. Complete waste of time. I don't think there's anybody else there. But none of these clouds. Big tractor type vehicle there with a couple of forks on the front. The forks are very, very close to the edge of the road there. Just happen to have oncoming traffic at the same time. But still, at least I didn't have to sort of run off the road into the dirt on the other side, which is what I would have done. Would have been pointless braking at that point. Yeah, I think that's about it. But it's just very, very disappointing that, you know, none of the stuff on YouTube is credible. None of it. And the guy with his teleportation device, someone left me a link to that the other day. I fell about laughing when I saw that. And a lot of people are taking that seriously. You can always offer to teleport someone else, of course, you know, someone from 60 Minutes maybe, to wherever he goes, and they can do an interview with some aliens, couldn't they? Who else is there? Anybody talking about the secret space program, serving on secret space fleets, put them all through. Bloody rubbish. Absolute bloody nonsense. I think that's about it. If I think of anything else, maybe I'll do another quick video. But for now, as always, if you've struggled through this video all the way to this point,